I would like to offer you a cup of tea, but I can't. So I've turned the kettle on so that the steam may enter this space. Because for me, this ritual of making tea is home. Around this time last year, I navigated my way to the back ends of West Cork to attend the wake of a good friend's mother. When I got there, the lights were on and you could see all the people crammed inside through the windows. A gathering like that seems quite far away now. I didn't really know anyone else, so I wormed my way in through the crowd in the kitchen and I found myself at the sink, where I started to wash cups so that more tea could be made. And it was here, with my hands in the warm, sudsy water, with the clatter of cups and the chatter all around me, that I turned to my left and I saw a poster of the national birds of Ireland, like one of those old supplements that came with the Irish Independent newspaper. And I thought of this woman who would have stood in this very spot, looking out this very window, maybe at the birds. And although it felt strange to occupy this space, it also felt right to think about her and how she had devoted most of her life to rearing her 5 children, one of whom passed away. And then I thought of my own mother, and maybe it was the birds, but a song came into my head, the tune of which I have heard on Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. for years. It would travel up through the floorboards, letting us know that she was below, listening to Maciolhu on RTE Radio 1, probably cleaning, but in her own space. Dear thoughts are in my mind, and my soul, it soars enchanted as I hear the sweet lark sing in the clear air of the day. For a tender beaming smile to my hope has been granted, and tomorrow she shall hear all my fond heart longs to say. Heart, crí, corazón, qualb. Yo también habla de la rosa. Intermediary speaks. I listened to my heartbeat all afternoon. I finished my tasks early, so I sat here, looking out through blurry eyes and listened to my heart beat gently against my chest, like a cautious lover knocking to come in, or a chick pecking at the walls of its egg, trying to move out into the light. And I began to imagine my heart, a sea anemone, intricate, delicately coloured, tucked away in its cave, an efficient, highly methodical organism devoted to the task of regulating endless distances of crepuscular canals. Some wide enough for royal gondolas, others barely wide enough to row food and vegetables to the market by the slow stroke of the oars, all of them pulsing regularly in order. Locks open and close to the complicated commands of the ever-powerful flower of the heart. And I thought, What if all the hearts in the world were to beat at once? Y si todos los corazones del mundo latirían a la vez. And I thought of the air too. It smelled of smoke and stale food. But I was like a fish sitting in my chair, submerged in the air. I could feel it against my skin. I could feel it brush my skin like petals of the anemone air that beats and circulates. And I began to think about all that I know. I know many things. I store within myself part of everything I've ever seen. Faces, crowds, views, textures of rocks, corners, many corners, gestures, contacts. I also retain memories. Memories that were given to me by my mother and my grandmother or my friends, who they in turn heard from their friends or old people. I know texts, illusions, pages. I know how to go places. I know roads. But knowledge is like the heart, hidden and beating, glowing imperceptibly, regulating canals that flow into other canals, flowing back and forth, unexpected currents and torrents, regulated by the radial complexity of a powerful central ventricle. Things happen. I hear them. I receive them. I assimilate them. I communicate them. I contemplate them. News. Hello. How are you? I hope you are well in this difficult time. It's good to hear from you. I am glad you have not forgotten us. I will send you that phrase now. I will translate it from Spanish to English. For those of you who do not know exactly what surrealism means, it is an artistic expression without morals, ethics, or aesthetics. The same can be used to describe our political systems nowadays without ethics, morals, or aesthetics, that are trying to convince us that the reality we live in is a product of our imagination. Hello, don't worry, we are fine. Everywhere there are battles, visible and invisible. Perhaps it is better to focus on the everyday. Isn't that everything anyway? Come in for your dinner. Makulba is my favourite. It is a traditional dish in Gaza. Makulba means upside down. It is rice, meat, vegetables, herbs and spices cooked in one pot and served upside down with a garnish. I imagine the flavours. I am in contact with theatre performers Ali Abu Yassin in Gaza City and Astrid Haddad of Mexico City. I have never been to either of those places. My journeys have been digital or through texts, pages, illusions. I have never stood on their pieces of earth, smelt the local foods cooking, seen those skies. $500 million migrating birds pass through the Hula Valley every year. Terns, herons, kingfishers, geese, eagles. Over 400 species of birds stop in this valley to feed and rest on their way from Europe to Africa. In the 1950s, the Israeli government drained the valley for agricultural purposes. This proved detrimental to the ecosystem. So in the 60s, part of the valley was reflooded, restored to a wetland and established as a national park. Mexico City is built on the remains of Tenochtitlan, the ancient capital of the Aztec Empire. Tenochtitlan roughly translates from the Nahuatl, the language spoken by the Mexica, as the nopal cactus fruit next to the rock. For generations, Palestinians used cacti to fence around their land. Now, the only traces of some of the villages of historic Palestine are lines of cacti in the earth. According to Aztec mythology, Huitzilopochtli, the god of sun and war, is presented as the deity who guided the Aztecas from their home to the Valley of Mexico. Huitzilopochtli was conceived miraculously by the earth goddess Quotalique. Please excuse my pronunciations. I have learned most of them from YouTube. One day, Quotalique was ritually sweeping her home in the Coatepec Mountains. A ball of feathers fell from the sky. She picked them up, stored them near her breast, under the folds of her clothes. Later that day, the feathers had disappeared, and she discovered that she was pregnant. The ground, the earth, the land holds stories. The ground, the earth, the land hold us. Memories hold us. We hold memories. Haven't you seen it yet? It's the most beautiful stage in all of Gaza. It has shiny wooden floorboards and fancy red seats. And when the audience comes in and the curtain is drawn, they go completely silent. The Saeed al-Mishal Cultural Centre in Gaza was built in 2004. It was a 5-story building and over 1,500 people worked there. There was a cafe, recreation spaces for children, rehearsal and performance spaces for theatre artists and musicians. It was a home for art, culture and community in Gaza. In August 2018, the centre was destroyed in an Israeli military airstrike. From a laptop in Galway, I Google images of the Saeed al-Mishal Centre. I see mostly grey. I see rubble and broken concrete and stone and dust. But I also see a band performing on the rubble, children in an audience, an art exhibition, a space that once was and still is the presence of absence. Is that his broken house? Did it break all over the city? Did he have an upstairs? He'll have to build his house again. My 3-year-old son sat on my knee a couple of weeks ago as I prepared for this show. He had a cold, so he couldn't attend creche, but he was fine, really. We were looking at a photograph by Palestinian visual journalist Aman Mohammed. The photograph is called Mohammed Kader Feeds His Pigeons and forms part of the British Museum collection in London. In the photograph we see Mohammed Kader standing outside the ruins of his home in Gaza. He is feeding his pigeons. In the background we can see his wife and a number of his 7 daughters. There is a makeshift clothesline, broken concrete, galvanized sheeting, dust, pigeons, and a Palestinian flag flying in a blue, blue sky. I will tell the world, I will tell, of a house whose lantern was broken, of a hoe that cut down an iris, of a fire that destroyed a braid of hair. I will tell the world about a goat that was never milked, about a morning cup of coffee that was not drunk, about a mother's bread that was not baked, about a mud roof sprouting grass. I will tell the world, I will tell.